Welcome back to Monthly Manga Monday. Every Monday on my YouTube and TikTok accounts, I do a full summary of everything I've read for the entire month before once the new month starts. And so this is going to be everything I read in February. I'm going to keep it kind of short. Most of you are probably coming from my TikTok, so you kind of have the general idea from there. I'm just going to get into all the series I read. First thing I read in February was the Before Chainsaw Man manga, all of the shorts from Tatsuki Fujimoto, and all of them have the strangeness of Fujimoto's other works without any of the real refinement, which makes them interesting. I will give them that, but it doesn't give me really any desire to revisit these once I finish reading them, and I'm not really sure how much I want to read the next set that comes out either. The next thing I read was My Happy Marriage. I saw a few of the manga accounts that I really take recommendations from, recommending this one, so I picked it up, and it did not disappoint. The familial trauma, the building of the relationships, the characters, they were all handled really perfectly for a first volume, and I'm really curious to learn more. Next thing I read was the new volume of My Dress Up Darling, and I was relatively underwhelmed. However, I'm still enjoying the series overall. In most high school romance manga, the school festival is kind of like the big step in the relationship, but there's really been no buildup for this so far, and this is not really feeling like it's going to be the time for a big step. It's following its own formula too much instead of trying to branch out. I wish they would have followed through with Marin having to make the costume herself while Gojo helped set up the food stall or something like that, but overall, it's still a fun series. Second to last volume of Sayonara Football came out. This is one of my favorite sports manga. If I didn't already know that this was the second to last volume, I would have figured out while I was reading it. This volume's original intention was clearly starting to build in New York, but you can tell that they were told that they needed to wrap it up because it drastically rushes through the first half, similar to like Hunter's Guild Red Hood, where you kind of just notice a shift in the middle of a volume. And then the rest of it is kind of not that great, and you can tell it's ending, which is very sad. Is love the answer? And I'm sorry, but this is going to be by far the longest section of this video because there is a lot to cover, and it is contention for my favorite manga that I've read. Obviously, it is very relatable to me being asexual. A large part of my identity over the last couple of years has been coming to that realization for myself and kind of having that coming out process again. So my circumstances have been very similar to Chica's. It just kind of happened a couple of years later than it happened for her. There were a lot of parts of this story that were legitimately painful for me to read, and that kind of made me love it even more. If you fall somewhere on the ace spectrum, I would highly recommend reading this series. It is really good, but even more than that, if you have friends that are identifying as ace or that you think might have those feelings, I really recommend reading this to see how not to talk to people with those identities. More than anything, I felt legitimate pain from the way that people talk to Chica about love, because I've been in those situations like too many times to count. The series is really good at showing you how draining it is when you open up to people about your feelings, and all of them, the first thing that comes out of their mouth is, "But what if you find the right person?" It's kind of infuriating and disheartening that that's the first thing that comes out of everyone's mouth. That's their first thought instead of like respecting how you feel. So yeah, this is a great manga. I really recommend it. Candy and Cigarettes, I read the second volume, and my worries kind of were dispelled about it becoming formulaic. They changed things up really well, but the concerns I had with Miharu being sexualized did kind of start happening. But it's a fun series, so I'll probably read at least the next volume before I give it up. Happy Kaneko's Killer Life. I kind of did some catch up on this series because I only read the first two or three volumes and then I caught up to where it is physically this month. And it's actually like really fun. I like the arc with Hoshiumi, giving room for Kaneko to figure out what makes her really happy and then ending it and making her kill him was really great. I hope he didn't mysteriously survive and come back at some point, but I don't think they'll do that. The introduction of Kaneko's new assassin friends was great. I think all of them are really good additions to the series. I knew something bad was going to happen with Sakurai because of how close they would gotten, and I kind of like what they did with it. It's a good series. It's really fun. I love full color manga. The characters are getting better and better over time. So yeah, this is another one that I really recommend. It's really fun. I just kind of wish the volumes were longer so I had more to enjoy. This one's going to be super frustrating for me to talk about because the new physical volume of Komi came out. And it's the one I've been dreading that I knew was coming, where Komi and Tadano officially start dating. I find the romance of Komi Can't Communicate to be the least interesting part of the series. I love the series because of the characters. There's a huge, interesting cast of characters that are put in great situations that show them off or put them in situations where they're uncomfortable so they can grow. And it's great. The romance really kills those moments, and it makes the kind of friendship that Komi and Tadano have built feel a little bit weaker. I do wish they went another route, either Tadano dating Manbaji instead, or even like Komi and Manbaji, like realizing that their friendship is something closer and coming together. But Komi dating the first friend she ever makes doesn't feel right to me. And I know they're probably still together in the manga, like where it is continuing. I just kind of hope it doesn't happen, and I hope they like try some other things out, even though I know it's not going to happen. The second volume of the Hunters Guild Red Hood came out in English. I've already read this series. It was one of my favorites when it was releasing in the Shonen Jump app. I didn't reread the volume because it kind of would have made me too sad. But I did read the two bonus manga that are in volume two because I kind of half read them when I got the Japanese volume, but I couldn't understand everything. So I read them now, and they're really fun. I love Kawaguchi's art style. I love all the crab stuff. Like he does a lot of that art on his Twitter too, and it's all really cute. So would I recommend this series? No, because it didn't live up to the potential I thought it had. But volume two is really fun because of those two extra manga you get. Read the new volume of Sakamoto Days. The more I read this series, the more I love it. It's been getting slowly bigger, the cast, and all the characters are really fun. So I think that's really great. I liked some of them changing some of the villains' minds and becoming assassins with them. It's kind of just a fun series, and I'm probably going to catch up to it on the app soon. I just haven't had a lot of time to read recently. Romantic Killer was the next thing I read. Like I said with Happy Kaneko, I love full color manga. I love the release they did for this. It's super fun. It is very tropey, but not in a bad way. Like it's having fun with the tropes instead of taking them seriously, and I really enjoy that more than something with like Blue Box, where it's like playing all of these tropes like it's trying to be serious when it really shouldn't be. So I did read Tokyo Revengers, the volume like 5 and 6 compilation, even though it's stuff that was in the first season of the anime, just because I kind of wanted a refresher when the new season came out. It's really good. I wish I liked this series more though. Like the characters are just very frustrating to me, especially Takamichi. He's just a horrible character in every way. There's nothing redeemable about him. He's a moron. It's just very frustrating. So it's hard for me to read the series because characters are the thing that are the most important for me when I'm reading. And I can't stand Takamichi, and we don't really get enough perspective from the other characters to balance it out. All Girl in Another World, I don't think I actually caught up on this one. I think I only read up to like volume 4 out of 5 or 5 out of 6. I don't remember. I'm not going to get into detail talking about it because there's literally nothing to talk about. It's just a fun series. And I did read it, so I have to put it on here. The last thing I read, literally on the last day of February, was volume 2 of Nana, because I did finally complete the series physically. Um, and it's really good. I love it. It's been like a year since I read volume 1 because I wanted to get all of the volumes first. But it's such a fun series. I forgot how funny Nana K is. A lot of the like mystique around Nana O is super funny. I know people like don't like the characters the further you get in. It's one of those things where you care about them, you just don't like them, and I'm excited to get into that. Last couple things I'm going to talk about are things I read online. Basically, it's just Shonen Jump series that I've like caught up on physically. So I'm going to go through those. I'm going to start with Akane Banashi because it's my favorite series. We started the month getting to see Akane perform Fetching Tea, which was great. It's beautiful. I love how different it looks from Urara's Fetching Tea. It's great. The series does so well with making the art of the performances look so good and so different, even when people are doing the same story. And that's one of the things I absolutely love. But even more than that, getting the rest of the chapters, we did get to see the return of Hikaru, who is learning under one of the other Arakawa masters. I don't think she's learning under the same master as Akane. And that's really good. I'm excited to see her come back. She was like my favorite part of the Karaku Cup, and her performance was really great. And then the last thing we got was backstory for Kaisei. And that was a chapter that in retrospect, looking back at it now, because I'm recording this after the next chapter came out, that might end up being one of my favorite chapters. Just like the one that came out on the first Sunday of March that I'm not going to talk about in here is actually, I think, legitimately my favorite chapter. Just getting new backstory on these characters that we've known since like the first couple chapters is great, and seeing like what makes them tick is so fantastic. The characters in this series, besides Akane, do not get a lot of attention up to this point, so I'm excited to see them flushed out more. I hope we get the same thing for Hikaru and Karashi at some point. because I think that this series could be like my favorite of all time permanently if we just get more from the other characters. Next thing to talk about is JJK. Three really big chapters for JJK this month, with Sukuna getting transferred to Megami and all that stuff. But I didn't really find these chapters that interesting because of leaks. I don't want to like make this whole section about leaks. It's just very frustrating that I can't even get on to Twitter or TikTok throughout the week without getting spoiled on JJK. It's one of my favorite series. It's in my top three. I wish I could enjoy it as it was coming out instead of being told 5 days before the chapter comes out what's going to happen completely out of context. That fucking sucks and it's frustrating. But yeah, three really great chapters anyway. Chainsaw Man, we only got two chapters in the month of February. I did love to see my prediction that Nayuta was going to act like Power come true because she's being arranged by Denji. Like, she's going to be an idiot like him. I'm very happy about that. But besides that, I really don't like all the Yoshida attention and the thing about him possibly being the Death Devil. I think that's really boring, but I understand why people like it. So whatever. It's just one opinion. My Hero, I didn't write any notes about these chapters as I was finishing them, which I now regret because I don't remember anything that happened. All I remember is Tokuyami going full Dark Shadow against All for One, and like a little bit about Gentle and La Brava saving the like falling structure, and that's it. Like I feel like this last arc has not really been memorable, which is super disappointing. But Horikoshi is still so worried about the series getting canceled at this point that he kind of has to rush through. So I do understand it. Ginka and Gluna. I am shocked that this series has still not gotten canceled, but I'm very happy that it's still around because I really like this arc. G&G trying to save this village that doesn't even want to be saved is great. It seems like we're getting introduced to one of the major villains. I don't think it's going to pay off because I think this arc, the series is going to get canceled soon, and we're not going to get to see the full thing. But still, it's super interesting, and I do love this series still. Jingashi X. I liked the first chapter, but I did drop it after chapter 6. The story is just pretty generic. The characters are boring. The action's hard to follow, and we don't really understand the power system. I did give it my like 6 chapter leeway, I guess. I just don't think it's going anywhere, but I will try to pick it back up if I hear good things about it later down the line. And the last one is I read the first chapter of Beat in Motion when it came out on the Viz app. It's pretty bad, if I'm going to be honest. When you end the first chapter hating every single character, I don't think that's a good sign. Um, I don't understand how he like talks about how obsessed he is with this idol, but he has no idea what she looks like. Like he literally meets her and has no idea it's her. I think that's really stupid. I don't get how he stops drawing for years and is able to instantly come back and be this perfect animator. I might give it one more chapter, but like, man, it's just not a great start. So that's all I have for the month of February. I've already read a couple things in the month of March, obviously. I'm planning on keeping doing this for now. We'll see. It's fun to do these. I might switch to doing them weekly just to kind of like push myself to read more if I have time, because I didn't really have time this month because some things happened with my work that I can't get into, obviously. It just made it harder for me to read while I was there. But yeah, hope you enjoyed this February edition of Monthly Manga Monday, and hopefully I'll see you again next month.